Hello and welcome to The Money Honey, the show that brings together women in finance, property, and construction. Did you know that only 17% of the workforce within financial services is represented by women? I found that to be an astonishing, scary fact because I have to say, in comparison to 7 years ago, or maybe now nearly 10 years ago, when I started in financial services, there was definitely much fewer women. I would walk into a room and I would be the only female BDM or the only female person in there amongst, 99% of men. But it has got better. I just didn't think it was as low as 17%. So if anyone can correct my statistic, I'd be welcome to that because that's what I recently read about. And I found that to be quite shocking. And this is why the Money Honey exists. This is why I created a podcast to bring women, talented women in the industry together, because there was a post that went out on LinkedIn about how there's just not enough female faces on the screen in particular. So whilst today you might go to an event or a meeting and you do see that balance starting to happen where you do see an even split or maybe a 60-40 split with women and men, on the screen, however, it's not as visible. Women aren't as visible as the men. Apparently, that's what people are saying. So I created this safe space to bring together talented female leaders, and whether they are of leadership level or entry level does not matter. I'm just bringing everyone together to get this airtime and this screen time. And today I've invited an ex-client, now friend. We've worked together for a little bit, but I genuinely now follow her as someone who has not only taken on board what I've taught her in terms of like social media. We did a social media strategy together and we brainstormed some video ideas, and she's just doing it. Like, this is, you think this is a given, but it really isn't. Some people invest a lot of money to get the coaching and training to learn how to do social media and learn how to do video, but then the fear still takes over and they still don't do anything. I know they blame time and sometimes life is busy, but this lady is of course insanely busy, but she still makes it a priority to promote her brand and to put herself out there in a very engaging and entertaining way. And that is the very lovely Lyndsay Kent from TBK. I want her to tell her story, and I'm going to hand over to her in just a moment. So tune in, and I can't wait for you to hear from her. Hi, Lyndsay.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you. How are you?
Yes, very, very well. Thank you. It's so nice to see you again on the screen, because the last time we did this was when we were doing our social media strategy sessions. And then after that, you're so independent and so you just took it on that you just never needed me again. You were just like, all right, bye, I'll just go off and do it. And I'm like, she graduated. What a phenomenal student.
You say that though. You say I don't need you anymore. Every single time I hit a blank, I think, what am I going to talk about? Because it happens to all of us. Like, it's not an easy thing to do. We make it look easy, but it's really not. Like, we do it for the benefit of our business, for our exposure and all those things. But being completely honest with you, every time I sit there and I try and plan what I'm going to do, I think, right, what did Ros say? And I go back to my notes from our coaching, and honestly, you still help me every single day. With every single post you see, you've got input on in one which way or another. So trust me, it goes. And I tell everyone as well. They go, "Oh, you're so natural in front of the camera." Nope, it terrifies me every single time. But I had coaching. I had someone encourage me, give me the skills to do what I needed to do, and that's how I've reached where I am. I wouldn't have been able to have done it without the coaching I had with you in the first place. Definitely not. I'm not a natural at it at all, but it's what you taught me to do.
I literally, but Lyndsay, I know you. Thank you for recognizing that. I did not realize you were going to say that today, so that's made my day. I just remember thinking, how did I get so lucky to? I genuinely mean this. Like, how did I get so lucky to land a client as good as Lyndsay, like a good student? Like, you took on board everything I said. Week on week, you'd go away and practice and try on everything that I would suggest. and then you'd be good at it. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's really good at it. Like she's actually doing it. And all this came about because you heard me at a Connect presentation. Like I do the Connect webinars there. And then you got in touch with me and said, we need this help in our business. I want to get myself out there, but I want to do it properly. I don't want to come across, but you are making it fun. Are you enjoying it? Because it looks like you are.
Yeah, no, I do still enjoy it, definitely. So it's nice to, especially when you work on your own as well. It almost makes you feel less alone by doing it. So by speaking online and coming up with these videos, it creates a talking point. So it generates conversations. So I do enjoy it for that reason as well, because otherwise I'd just be talking to a wall and high-fiving myself at the end of the day. So
that's no good wrong with that. I high five myself all the time.
Yeah,
no, I know what you mean.
I do definitely do still enjoy it.
Yeah, I think you've done so well at taking on board there's two main messages that I get from you, right? And one we'll come on to in a minute, but the first one is you make complex stuff, because I know you deal with specialists, right? And that's another thing that I really enjoyed about working with you, is that it was something that I could relate to. When I first joined in financial services, I did all the specialist cases. And yeah, being female in specialist finance, dealing with complex cases, having to really just be on top of your game and be on form all the time was quite difficult. And I really struggled to keep up appearances like that. And so I could really relate to you from that perspective. So what you've done with your content is made it really fun and engaging. I wish that 10 years ago, I would have done what you're doing now with social media. When I was in specialist finance, I wish I would have taken social media seriously then and really started to promote my brand that way. I eventually got there, but yeah, I wish I would have done that before. It probably wasn't, TikTok wasn't around then, for example, so I wouldn't have been able to do it. So yeah, one thing that I really admire about you, and anyone listening thinking, financial services can be really boring. Absolutely not. You need to follow Lyndsay, because she takes a really complex subject and just makes a really good comical video out of it, don't you?
Yeah, essentially. So the struggle that I had when I started doing it was just trying to think of content in the first place, which you did guide me with. But when, as you know yourself, when you work in a complex field, the challenge is to make that come across not complex. So with our brand and the way that we do business, we make the process simple for our clients. Everything's streamlined from start to finish. It's effortless from their perspective. But trying to explain that is difficult when the topic is complex in the first place, because it's quite a daunting thing. A lot of people want to become landlords. They want to invest in property. They want to do all these things, but they think, oh my God, where do I start? There's so much involved, when in reality, when you strip it back to basics, it is quite simple. But it's just my background is complex. So therefore I'm able to do the complex cases. I went straight into a complex brokerage. I never was a broker at a bank or anything like that. I went straight into case management, doing the most difficult cases you're ever going to do. So then when I became a broker, I naturally then went into broking specialist cases. Doesn't mean that I don't do standard cases, easy ones. If you're just simple, you want to buy a buy-to-let property, yeah, great. We do all those as well. But our niche is that we do the complex things. But in reality, we can get all of that under one umbrella. So just because you're slightly more complex, which I don't really like the word, because it makes you feel like you're out of the ordinary when you're not.
Yeah, you're an issue. You're a problem.
I would actually, yeah, exactly. No one wants to be a problem. Whereas I would actually say the complex cases are actually becoming normal. It's normal to be complex now.
Yes.
I would say.
Yes.
So,
I was just about to say, is there any normal case or any smooth, simple case these days? Even just buying a residential property for you and your family just doesn't feel straightforward anymore. So everything is getting more and more I think complex is the only word I can think of right now. And that could be, complex can mean quirky properties, unusual builds, obviously income styles. It could be, adverse. There's so many different levels to complex. That is exciting, isn't it? It just makes the role different every single day. I know it's a headache. Trust me. I know how you're feeling. It is you're reading an email and you have to read it 16 times to be what is this situation?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. And where the market is so diverse and every lender is different and every set of criteria is different and lending appetites are different, nothing really fits as complex anymore because everything is. So
Yes.
they're all complex. Everybody else has got a different situation. I just try and prefer to refer to it as everyone's situation is unique. So
Yes.
therefore, everyone's situation deserves the time of day to be placed correctly and have the time spent on it to make sure that it's most suitably placed with X lender, Y lender. It's really easy to get that wrong. I'm easy, I'm simple, I'm just going to go to that bank. When in reality, you should have just put yourself under the umbrella of unique and then go and get the best advice you can get. And you're probably going to get something better out of it. So that's the angle I take. For instance, everyone is complex. I am complex because I launched my company in June 2021. So I've been self-employed for less than 2 years. I am therefore complex. So someone who is standing in front of you in finance, owning my own company, delivering advice on specialist buy-to-let mortgages, I'm complex myself. So that just shows how normal it is to be complex. I would
Yes.
say
Yeah.
most people are. So
I
that's
love
why
that.
yeah. So just trying to normalize that is the angle that I go with because it used to be something to be ashamed of and it's so wrong.
And also, I find that other advisors can kind of, not you, but like there are advisors out there that make you think that because you're so complex, or like the situation is so unique. Let's use that word because I prefer that word now.
Mm.
That situation is so unique. They do come across like, oh well, gosh, this is going to take me a long time, and then they justify their fee and they put their fee up and up and up, and they
Mhm.
say, oh yeah, and they make out like the client just feels like, oh my gosh, like I'm such a burden.
Mhm.
And you do the opposite. You're just like, so that's
Yeah.
the situation. So yeah, that's what I do. And I just love
Yeah,
that.
you're
'Cause I'm
spot
like,
on.
yeah, you know what? I can relate to that about, I know this is a really random example, right? But go with me here. I have a situation, a little problem with hairdressers about my hair because every time I walk in, they're like, oof, oof, oh my God, you want a blow dry? And I'm like, yeah, I've got like
There's a lot
normal
of
hair.
it.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. It is thick and long, but it is just normal hair. Like I'm not a
Mm.
horse. And like, you know what I mean? I'm like, it is actually human hair. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, right. Well, how much time do we need? And oh, I think I'm gonna have to charge you more. And I was like, that's just there's
Yeah.
within reason. So you just end up feeling like they're not very looking forward to doing your case. And that's how I can relate to
Uh-huh.
financial services. It's like, gosh, that feels really off-putting when you just feel like a burden.
Mhm. Yeah, I try and be complete opposite. I just sort of and it's not untrue either. I enjoy the challenge. I quite like it when unfortunately it's not good for them. But if someone comes to me and says they've had a bad experience, they've been told this, this, and this, they've been told they can't get what they want, and it's going to take them X amount of years, need to go away. I like that sort of scenario because I can say, look, just come here, let's sit down, talk about it, and we'll find you something. So I will never send someone away with a no. They'll have an option. 99.9% of the time, they are given an option. We can do something for you, definitely. But in the rare circumstance where you can't, it's this is what you need to do, exactly step by step. Come back in a month, 2 months, 6 months, and we can do exactly this. They're given the tools, the guidance, the strategies to get to where they need to be. That's the difference. But with us, our angle is it's the service we provide, it's the brand that we're portraying. So just because you've spoken to somebody doesn't mean you're going to get charged. So we don't charge any fees until we get a mortgage offer for our client. We just don't, because in our mind, that's when we've done our job for you. So it allows us to show you that, yes, we've found you the most suitable product. We've also pushed it all the way through to offer. We're not going to take anything from you until we've done that. And that's our niche. So it's quite daunting speaking to anyone in financial services, I think, because you think, oh, well, I need to ask all these questions. And the more questions I've got, the more expensive it's going to be because that's someone's time that it's taking up. Whereas for me, it's my life, it's my brand, it's what I'm growing now for my future. So I want like a client bank that's going to stay with me for life. And any client that comes to me stays with me for life. They don't go anywhere because this is what they get from me. So they get me on WhatsApp, they get me on whatever they want, and they ask me questions all day long because that's how I like to do business. So that's the difference here as well. And that's what I really like with smaller companies like mine, and why I support them, because we just do. It's from the bottom of our hearts what we're doing, because it's what we're passionate about. It's why we took the time to step back, to set up on our own, to do all these things, because it's what we're passionate about. It's what we're looking to grow. And that's the feedback I get from my clients, is that's what sort of stands us apart from others. They don't feel like a hindrance. They feel like a burden. They don't feel like they're going to have to put their hand in their pocket every time they want to ask you a question, sort of thing. And that's where we sort of stand out. But I think that's how it should be. I don't know, maybe.
I relate to you. I totally do. Do you have to be you have to be very entrepreneurial in this space, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And it's not all about upfront free. Yes, everyone needs money in their pocket to be able to pay their bills. We're all the same there. Every single one of us has that in common, all of us. And I'm one of those people. So yes, I don't get paid until X amount of time, but that's what I'm building. I understand that. And in the long term, that will benefit me, because that is my niche.
Yes, you've got longevity in your business plan, in your strategy.
Exactly.
It's that organic growth, giving away all your valuable information and top tips, and really just holding that client's hand, because you know that in the long run, that commitment to you will pay dividends. So I can see that. I can totally see that. So the second thing you do with your content that I want to move over to is you bring, without saying it, you're doing it, right? You actually walk the walk, and you're bringing more female faces to the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's obviously the theme of the podcast, which is about women in finance. But I know you don't always see the rosy side to it when you're in it. So, and you've recently been interviewed in the Women in Finance article series that Tony Sanchez does, which I love. Can you give us your version of what it's like to be a woman in finance, and how you see it? The pros, the cons, the highs, the lows.
I'm just really proud to be one, and likewise really proud of anyone who is one. And there's a reason for that. And I find that every woman in finance that people are aware of, which is the main thing, as you were saying earlier, like they're saying the figures are due to exposure. No one knows we're here. So the ones that are there, and the ones that, like yourself, that are doing so well and people are aware are there, are the ones that scream and shout and are charismatic about it and want to be heard. And that's what I find. And all the women in finance that I deal with, BDMs in particular, they're all outstanding. And I feel like we have to be at a level of outstanding and really above any bar to be able to make it. So I think the level that we have to be at to get to this stage in finance as a female is higher than what you have to be otherwise. So it's not an attack or anything like that. It's just what I've observed is that the women that are at higher levels in finance and in BDM roles are really good at what they do. Like, I would say outstanding at what they do. And they don't take anything for granted. They know they've worked. You can tell they've worked really hard to be where they're at. You can see that grit. You can see what they've probably had to go. You can tell straight away that someone's had to fight to be where they are. And I think that's the difference there. So we're all there. We've got something to prove every single day, and we do. And that's what sets us apart differently. I think you can see a little bit. It's a really difficult thing to explain without coming across in a different. But it's just my own personal experience. I know I seriously had to prove myself to get to where I am. I fought tooth and nail. For being qualified as a mortgage broker, I was qualified before most of my MLPs were. I was never promoted. And I could never understand what was going on there. So I moved companies so that I could be a broker. And that's wrong. That should never be the case. Like, I never understood what happened there. And I went and I did. And I'm glad I did it, because it taught me how to set up a business, because I went and worked for a small company who hadn't done mortgages before. So I set up their mortgage arm, which gave me the tools to then set up my own mortgage company. So I'm really glad that I had the journey I had, because it gave me the skills to be where I'm at, which I wouldn't have imagined when I first started in the industry, being able to have my own brokerage and say, yes, like, this is my company, after not being taken. But it's those negative experiences that give you the drive to go, no, like, I can do this. I know I can do this. I know that I can do it just as good as you, if not better, and I'm going to show everyone that I can. But what I find is the women in these positions have all been through very similar things. And we have obviously additional challenges as well. I think people do doubt our ability, and that it's not just within the industry, it's out of it as well. So that can be clients. I've had experiences with clients where they'll want what I've said verified by a male colleague. Like, it does still happen, but it's something that we're just accustomed to. It's really difficult. We're not even phased by it anymore. I find we're just like, here we go again. Like, and it just makes me want to put on a male voice, which is quite deep anyway. But it makes me just want to, yes, like, you just put the phone down for a minute, pick it up. Yes, yeah, my name's Barry. Yeah, I'm Lyndsay's boss. I can validate what she said. But it does happen. It does.
So
still
you
happen.
think you'd still need validation? So what you're saying is, are you not being taken as seriously as you should be in your role?
No, and I think people are curious about me. So I do get approached by people who are looking for advice in this field, who are looking to invest in property and things like that. The feedback I get from them is they're surprised that I know how much I actually know.
Isn't that an insult, though?
Very much so. But you can't be, because you want the business. So you just roll with it. You roll with it. But I quite enjoy that, really. I don't know if that makes me a little bit sadistic or what, but I'll sit down and I'll go, you don't have any faith in what I'm saying. But by the end of this meeting, you're going to. And it's small wins for you, isn't it? But there's still small wins that you shouldn't have to win. But it happens.
You just be like, I am allowed to speak. I should be in this meeting speaking my truth, and I should be delivering my presentation without having to address the elephant in the room that you're making, that I'm a woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've had meetings and link ups and things with different people in the industry, and like equity release advisors, just solicitors, and just to build like a little background of a community of people just for referrals and things like that. And I'm trying to get involved in, and I've been to a couple of BNI meetings where you have one from each industry. So you've got a broker, you've got a solicitor, and I was told, and it stuck with me, and it wasn't too long ago either. I really recommend you do that, because I think you'll do really well in those events, because you'll stick out like a sore thumb.
Oh my God, a sore thumb.
Yeah. So
I'll give you a sore thumb.
Yeah, give you something else sore. But that's what they said. You'll do well because, so not because of your ability or of the service, none of those things, but because you will stick out like a sore thumb, you will do well. So basically, because you're not the norm, you will get people's attention. Obviously, you can read into that what you want, and I don't look my best today. I can look all right sometimes, and maybe I did that day. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they say, oh, because you're blonde, you're young, and all those things, you'll stick out, so you'll do well because people will talk to you. It doesn't mean they're going to take you seriously, does it? It's people just interested in you because, that's common.
I get it. I've been there.
Yeah,
I've been there. You know, I often get asked. I often wonder, and I belittle myself, because I think, oh, was I just asked to speak on stage because they'll know I turn up with like a yellow dress and I'll be really enthusiastic and charismatic, like, or are they actually listening and taking me seriously? Or have I been hired as a BDM to balance out the males in the room? You know, like, it's very common for BDMs to be female because it's a female walking into a male room, and therefore you want to attract attention. And this has got harder as I've got older, because I've been aging like wine, actually.
So have I.
I've done very well at aging, because actually in my teens, I hated like my look when I was young. I was never referred to as good looking ever.
No,
like when I was little, I was overweight, and I just did not grow into my look until I was much older. So I've always considered myself to be a bookworm, and to be a geek, and to be smart, and to like work really, really hard. And then as I got older, really, because then as I got older, everyone was like, oh, like, they started acknowledging my looks, and I was like, no, I'm not used to this. Like, I don't understand why the looks is what's getting me far now, because I'm actually really hardworking, and I'm so academic as well.
Reach it. I honestly, I've had exactly the same experience as you. So I was the same throughout school as a straight A student, everything like that. I was quiet. I say I was overweight like you. I didn't get any attention whatsoever. And then going in, and when I went into college, I had red hair, piercings all over my face. I wasn't taken seriously at all. And then I was like, right, and it sounds silly, but it was like, it's time to grow up now. So then it went hand in hand with trying to be taken seriously in finance and everything like that. So I dyed my hair blonde. I wanted to make myself look normal and fit in. So in a world where you already don't fit in anyway, and then I was doing that, and then all of the rest of this come along, like you're describing there, it was inappropriate comments and attention. I'm thinking, hang on a minute, where's this coming from? That's not anything I've ever experienced before. I've always just thought to be taken seriously for my brain and like what I've got to offer there. And now all of a sudden, like I had an experience where, like for us as well, like we're trying to arrange meetings for our business and things like that. And some people say, like, I prefer to meet in person. It's just what some people prefer to do, isn't it? So I still get really, really nervous when that happens because I've had a couple of negative experiences with that.
And we went through one together, didn't we?
We did. And I've had another one since as well. It wasn't anywhere near as bad, but it was another one. So it's people wanting to meet you just because they want to spend time with you in public. And it's,
Oh my God, that is so cringe. Oh my God, I'm so
it happens.
honestly, I was
And
really scared when that happened to you. I won't go into the ins and outs, but like, yeah, we had a bit of a scare, didn't we? Because we were doing your LinkedIn growth campaign, and you were like getting meetings like no other. You were just literally banging meetings in your diary. You were getting so busy. You were getting so many leads, and then I just felt really responsible because obviously I can't control some people that are out there that have got ill intentions. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I don't want to put Lyndsay out there. But you got through that, and you're still going through it. Like, how are you dealing with these like scary situations? Because they can be scary, and people might, listening to this, might think, well, I'm not going to put myself out there on social media because I don't want to encounter these situations.
no, you just be diligent and just trust your gut on things. If something feels like it's not right, it's probably not right. And to be honest, it's so minimal. It's so few and far between. But I don't think it matters what situation you're in life. You're gonna if you're gonna experience it, you're gonna experience it. It is what it is. I wouldn't ever say don't be encouraged to do this on social media. It's transformed my business. I wouldn't have a business without what I've done. It's needed. It is needed, and just unfortunately, you just have to have your wits about you. So all I'll say is, if you're going to agree, if someone says they want to do a face-to-face meeting with you, just do your due diligence first. Make sure they are who they say they are. Do your AML checks on them first. If we all work in finance and we're arranging meetings on that basis, just get a process in place that means you have to do an initial call, you have to get ID from them, just those sort of things, and just don't make it a big deal. Just say, this is part of our process, just so that we can pencil this meeting in. I need a few things from you. If they're legit, they will send them. If they're not, they won't.
Yeah, and also just be that extra bit mindful, because when you're really hungry for business, you can sort of forget to do these due diligence, can you? Because you're so excited, you're like, wow, this is working, and I really need the business, so I'm going to meet them. And if you do end up in that situation where you do forget to do the checks, or the checks haven't quite come through, but you're really confident about this one, always just being mindful of where you're meeting that person. Make sure it's not too close to home. Make sure they don't see like where you've parked and where your car is. Meet them in a public location that everyone else can witness you guys there. Text someone, let them, all the standard things, as if you were going to go on a date, right? You would let your friends know. Maybe you would drop a pin to your partner at home saying like, look, this is where I am, all that kind of stuff. Maybe you could schedule for someone to give you a call at a certain time. There's so many tactics that you can use, and always be safe. But remember that social media is safe because there's a screen between you and that person, and at the very most, the only thing that could hurt you is words, which you can block anyway. You can block, delete, report. So actually the social media part is the safe part. If 100%. You decide to take it off social media and you decide to meet face to face, which I've never had to do, Lyndsay, like I've literally built my business. Like you said, I wouldn't have a business if it weren't for the internet. I've built all my business online because it was during a pandemic. So I had no choice but not to meet anybody,
Mhm.
and it was all online. So you can still stay safe as long as you are just as street smart on the
Yeah.
street as you are online. So yeah, you definitely need to do that. So thanks for sharing that. And before we do come to an end, because I know you and I can talk for hours,
Mhm.
but is there a little announcement that you would like to make?
Oh God, I don't like personal things on. I don't know.
I know, but I did ask permission about this first.
No, I
So
know.
anyone listening, I'm not putting her on the spot. I did ask permission because I'm really proud of what she's about to say, but I'll let her say it.
Yeah, so you don't. I'll tell you. I'll add to it as well, which you're going to
Yeah,
love this as well. If that
yeah.
goes with the podcast. So, I'm actually having a little girl in July as well.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I haven't really announced much to the world, anything like that. I've been quite private about it. So yeah, so for all of these things that we've been through today, I'm obviously extra passionate about it now, because now I'm a different kind of role model to a female coming into the world. So everything that we've been through, I feel so strongly about. But so as of July, I'll be juggling that responsibility as well as everything else. So
Oh
it's
my
going to be
God.
an
I'm
interesting
so
year.
proud of you. You know why I'm proud that you mentioned it, because if you hadn't, right, can I just be honest, right?
Yeah,
I know women in financial services that are pregnant and they haven't said anything.
there's a reason. I don't want to not be taken seriously, or for someone to think, oh, she's going to go off the grid. I'm not
Yeah,
going to deal with her because I'm not going to be able
yeah.
to speak to her. It's genuinely not the case, because I'm such a workaholic. I'm not going to be
Don't
stopping work.
justify it. No, this is the
But,
problem. I'm
but we have
scared.
to.
Right. So this is my bugbear with it, is that I'm not pregnant and I haven't got kids, and I'm really scared, and I'm fine about being vulnerable about this. Like, I am scared about having a baby in the future because of how I'll be perceived and how people will think, oh, well, she's just not going to be as passionate anymore. She's not going to be available. She's not going to be hands on. And I've got all these fears about.
I have the same ones.
Right. And so when I see people like you, you are the proof to me that it can be done. Right. And I need you. Like, you don't know how much this is
Mm,
helping me, because like I need to see that you can have it all. And then I look at people like J-Lo and I'm like,
mm,
gosh, if she can have the body,
yeah.
all the husbands, and not that part I don't want, but like if she can have the man, the kids, the career, the body and everything, like it can be possible. But you have a responsibility, Lyndsay. I will one day have a responsibility when I'm pregnant, that I have to, if I don't talk about it, what is that saying? What is
Yeah,
that saying?
you're
It's
100%
agreeing.
right. You've got the nail on the head with why I haven't said anything about it. And it is exactly that. It's the fear of how that's going to impact everything that you've built. So you've put your heart and soul and everything into building what you've got. You think I'm going to lose it all because of what
Yeah.
everyone else thinks. Whereas
Yeah.
deep down, you're not going to let yourself down. You know
No.
you're a warrior, and you know you're going to manage it all
Yeah.
somehow. You will just do it. But it's just, you feel like you have to prove yourself again because of
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
So
Because, one of my competitors is, well, I say competitors, but you know what I mean, and one for a better word. But Gary Das, for example, right? He's just had another kid. Yeah, but whilst that kid's popping out, he's
well,
at the gym, he's like doing his stuff. And like to him, he doesn't even bat an eyelid. He's like, yeah, so there's my baby. Yes. Anyway, back onto the webinar. And you're like, hold on, when I have a baby, I'm probably going to have to be like, so these are my hours. I'm definitely going to be available from, I'm going to have to prove that I can juggle both. And
yeah.
I don't, obviously it's not Gary's fault. Gary is a massive advocate for women in the industry, and that's why I love him. But yeah, it just doesn't feel the same. It just doesn't feel equal. So I'm really glad you're doing this. Your little girl is coming into a world where you are positively trying to make it better for someone like her. And I reckon like you've got this far in business, and you've got drive and you've got hunger, but wait till you get that little kid in your arms.
Exactly.
You are going to be like, I just can't wait. It's going to happen to you. Like, yeah, I'm very excited for you. So thank you for
Oh,
sharing
thank
that. For
you.
me, this was just a selfish question, guys. This was a selfish question. I wanted Lyndsay to prove to me that you can talk about it, you can have it, you can be passionate and ambitious. And she's spoken for 30 minutes on how passionate she is about the business, and she's carrying a human being inside of her. Like, I just don't know how that feels. I just, wow.
You will. Yeah, no, it's something like no other. I tell you what, you feel the love before they're even here. Like, you genuinely do. And it already changes your outlook and how you see things. And it just gives you even more fire. Even more fire.
Yes.
When I found out last week that it was a little girl, and it just straight away gave me more fire for everything that I believed in.
Wow.
Just,
Did you know? I don't know if this is true or not.
I knew from the start. I knew what were you gonna...
No, well, I don't know if this is just a TikTok thing or Instagram that makes me believe shit that doesn't even exist. But apparently, it's very common that your firstborn, if it's a firstborn girl, they tend to be quite like very leadership orientated.
I think she's going to be a force.
Yeah,
definitely, she's going to be a force. I knew before I found out it was about.
there was a girl. Oh wow, you can sense the energy.
I just knew. Wow. I can't explain it. I just knew straight away. I thought, oh, okay, right, this is what I'm contending with now.
Got shivers. Like, I am so excited for you. On that note, I think our time's up. I want to respect your time because you've got a busy schedule to get to. So thank you again for being here with me today. And I know we'll catch up plenty offline. But is there anyone that you would love to see on the show? So we call this positive pollination, this part of the show where we say, all right, well, thanks for coming on the show. Obviously the bee theme and everything. So to help others flourish, you have to, or to, cross pollinate, you have to spread the pollen. So, kind of sprinkle your own magic dust, if you like. So who would you love to see on the show? Who do you think would be amazing on this show?
Oh God, they're going to hate me because I haven't given them a heads up or anything.
I know. I say, I'll be on the show, but
no, I work so closely with some really, really good women. But in particular, there are a few that work at Glen Hawk. They're an amazing team. So Sam Emery, she's probably going to hate me for recommending her anyway.
I think I used to work with her. Didn't she?
Sam, she's outstanding. Okay. Yeah, no, I love working with her. She's got so many stories. She's worked so hard to get to where she is in the industry, and she's just amazing. But she works with some incredible women there as well. So it's not just Sam at the level she's at. The underwriter she works with, Rashma and Amy Davenport, the case manager there. The three of them are just incredible. So I would recommend those three. Then they could maybe do it together as a trio, perhaps.
That would be amazing.
They're amazing, all of them.
The way this usually happens is when the show is released and your show is out, to simply surprise them with a tag and saying, I nominate blah, blah, blah. Now, some have said, yeah, sure. Oh my gosh. Like most women have literally cried at the nomination. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you thought of me. So that's why I want it to come from you, the speaker, rather than me, because I know who Sam is. But I want her to know that she is appreciated outside, of her day-to-day job. So I'm sure they will all be delighted to hear from you. So thank you for that. And if you are listening, ladies, you have been nominated. And if you are interested in being on the show, you can approach me directly. As you see, it's a very casual chat. We can talk about whatever you like, but it's about bringing more female faces on the screen, and we all have a responsibility to do so. We can't say, oh, there's not enough women on the screen, and then we just all hide away. So we have to come out in order for us to be seen. So thank you again, my love. And I will chat to you offline.
Cool. Thank you.